Classic adamantium claws. Get ready to meet the shiny metal knives that basically started the whole angry Canadian trend. These famous blades first popped up in 181. They came from a super secret and honestly very mean government group called Weapon X. The big bosses there, like Dr. Abraham Cornelius, decided Logan needed an upgrade. They took his regular bone skeleton and covered it in something called true adamantium. This stuff is a man-made metal alloy that is basically impossible to break. They used a special science trick from a guy named Lord Darkwind to glue it to his bones. Now he has 6 long blades hiding inside his arms. Here is the gross part though. Logan does not have little holes in his skin for the claws to come out. Every single time he gets mad, the metal has to slice right through his own skin and muscles. That honestly sounds like a total nightmare. Thankfully, his mutant healing factor fixes the holes instantly. Even so, it still hurts a lot every single time. These claws are so sharp they can cut through titanium and even space armor from the Shi'ar. The metal is also very heavy. It changes how Logan stands and makes his punches hit like a freight train. Not to mention, his muscles have to work extra hard just to carry the weight around. It's like having dumbbells permanently stuck in your forearms. Imagine trying to eat a sandwich with those things on. Natural bone claws. For a long time, everyone thought Logan's claws were just machines put inside him. That changed in Wolverine Volume 2, number 75, and it blew everyone's minds. A bad guy named Magneto used his powers to rip all the metal out of Logan's body. It was super gross and very painful. Everyone thought Logan was now powerless, but then, while he was training, he got angry and popped his claws out anyway. Only this time, they were made of white, jagged bone. Turned out he was born with them way back in the 1800s. The metal was just a coating for his natural weapons. These bone claws are a bit scary looking. They're rough and have sharp edges like animal teeth. They aren't indestructible like metal, so they can actually snap or chip. If they break, Logan has to wait for them to grow back, which hurts a lot. They can still cut through wood and skin easily though. It showed that Logan was a predator long before the government found him. It's the ultimate proof that you don't need fancy tech to be a total menace. Hot claws. Imagine if your favorite kitchen knife suddenly decided it wanted to be a toaster. This weird change happened in the Return of Wolverine miniseries in issues number 1 through number 5. Logan had just come back from the dead after being stuck in a giant metal shell. A mysterious group called the Sotera and a lady named Persephone brought him back to life. His healing factor was super confused and working way too hard. It was trying to fix his brain and his body at the same time. This created a ton of extra energy that had nowhere to go. So his body decided to dump all that heat directly into his metal claws. They started glowing bright orange like a stovetop burner. These things were thousands of degrees hot. He could melt through thick metal doors like they were warm butter. It also meant he didn't have to worry about enemies bleeding because the heat closed the wounds instantly. That sounds helpful, but it was also a huge problem for Logan. Using the heat drained his energy faster than a phone playing games all day. It made him tired and very easy to hurt. His best weapon became a giant battery drain. He was basically a walking space heater with a bad attitude. It was a cool look, but definitely not great for his health. Nothing says stay away like hands that look like they're belonging to a neon sign. Fire claws. Sometimes being a mutant isn't just enough, so you have to add some literal hellish magic. This spooky upgrade showed up in Wolverine Volume 7, issue number 36, during a story called Weapons of Vengeance. Logan had to team up with Johnny Blaze, who is the famous Ghost Rider. They were fighting a gross demon parasite that was messing with mutants. To get rid of the demon, Johnny blasted Logan with a huge wave of hellfire. Instead of turning into a toasted marshmallow, Logan's body absorbed the magic. His adamantium claws got covered in actual roaring flames from the underworld. This wasn't just normal heat like hot claws. This was a spiritual fire that burns your very soul. If he poked a bad guy with these, they felt the pain of every bad thing they ever did. This is a lot of homework for your conscience to handle all at once. Visually, I think he looked like a total monster with a flaming skull face. It made him look like one of the scariest things in the entire Marvel world. The fire worked perfectly with his angry berserker spirit. He wasn't just a fighter anymore. He was a scary spirit of revenge. It is the perfect weapon for someone who thinks normal knives are too boring. Fighting him would be a total nightmare for your physical body and your spirit. This one is also my favorite so far because it's the perfect weapon if you want to win a fight and give someone a midlife crisis. Midnight Sun Claws. If you ever wonder what happens when a brawler goes to magic school, this is the answer. These glowing blades appeared in Midnight Suns number 4 when things got really weird. The team was fighting a scary shadow boss named Valtor and a girl named Zoe Laveau. Physical punches weren't working because the bad guys were basically ghosts, so the mutant sorceress Magic decided to give everyone a magical makeover. She used her powers from a place called Limbo to make Logan some special armor. She also put a magic spell on his metal claws. They started glowing with a purple light and had tiny magic symbols floating around them. These weren't just for show. The magic let Logan slice through the ghosts and break magic shields. He could finally step things that didn't even have a solid body. It turned a guy who usually just hits things into a professional demon hunter. The upgrade didn't last forever, but I think it was super cool while it stayed. He also looked like he stepped straight out of a high fantasy video game, which I love. It proved that Logan can handle himself even when the magic of physics stops working. He might be the only guy who could bring a knife to a magic wand fight and actually win. X-23's Claws. Meet Laura Kinney, the girl who proves that having fewer claws can actually be way deadlier. She first appeared in the NYX number 3, but her sad story was told in the book Innocence Lost. She is a clone of Logan created by a group called The Facility. They wanted their own version of Wolverine, but they changed a few things. Instead of 3 claws in her hands, she only has 2. But here is the surprise. She also has a single sharp claw in each of her feet. The scientists didn't cover her whole skeleton in metal because that would be too expensive. Economy these days. Instead, they pulled out her bone claws and dipped them in adamantium. Then they shoved them back in. This means her bones are still normal, so she's much lighter and faster than Logan. She moves like a gymnast or a ninja. She could jump over people and kick them with her toe claws. It's a very different way of fighting compared to Logan's heavy boxing style. She could sneak up on you and attack from angles you wouldn't expect. Being lighter makes her more agile, but she can also break her arms more easily. The easiest way I could describe it is that she's like a sports car version of Wolverine, while Logan is a heavy tank. Daken's Muramasa enhanced claws. Logan has a son named Daken, and he's honestly a bit of a jerk. Daken showed up in the Wolverine Origins number 10, and he has a very weird claw setup. He has 2 claws that come out of his knuckles like his dad, but he has a third hidden claw that pops out from the bottom of his wrist. For a long time, these were just regular old bones. Daken wanted a way to actually finish off his dad for good. Since Logan heals so fast, Daken needs a special trick. He went to a smart bad guy called the Tinkerer. They took a piece of magic sword called the Muramasa blade. This sword was made using a piece of Logan's soul, which is super creepy. The Tinkerer melted a metal magic and put it into Daken's wrist claws. These magic claws do something terrifying. They stop a mutant's healing factor completely. If Daken scratches you with these, your body forgets how to fix itself. Even Logan would just bleed out like a normal person. It turned Daken into the perfect assassin for killing people who can't die. He's like a walking game over screen for anyone with superpowers. Family reunions at the Logan house must be incredibly awkward and very, very pointy. Noir Wolverine's knife claws. In the X-Men Noir universe, there are no superpowers at all. Life is just tough and gray like an old movie. Jim Logan is a bootlegger from the 1930s who runs a bar. Since he doesn't have a healing factor or bone claws, he has to make his own. He wears heavy leather gloves with long steel knives welded into the knuckles. He has to strap them on before he gets into a fight. They don't hide inside his arms, so they are very scary to look at. He uses them to win messy alleyway fights against gangsters. It's also a very grounded and realistic version of the character. He has to sharpen them by hand to make sure they don't rust. If he gets hurt, he doesn't heal instantly, so he has to be very careful. He's just a dangerous guy with a set of sharp gloves. It's a very cool take on the character that focuses on how scary he would be in real life. It's basically what happens when a bartender decides he's had enough of your attitude. Ultimate Sabretooth for adamantium claws. Over in the Ultimate Marvel Universe on Earth 1610, Sabretooth decided he wanted to be a bigger version of Logan. In the regular comics, Sabretooth just has long fingernails. But in the Ultimate X-Men books, he went full metal. Victor Creed had a massive crush on being better than Wolverine. He went to the Weapon X program and asked them for a painful upgrade. He wanted adamantium claws just like Logan, but he wanted more of them. He had 4 giant claws put into each of his arms. They were thicker and longer than Logan's claws. He did this just to show off and mock his rival. My favorite part is that these claws are built for total destruction and making a huge mess. Because there are 4 of them, they cover a lot more space when he swings his arms. He honestly looks like a walking set of steak knives. He also had a metal put in his bones to make himself harder to kill. Turned him into a giant cybernetic monster. He didn't care about being a hero, he just wanted to be a scarier predator. It is a very edgy look, literally and figuratively, but the funny thing is, he really went through all that pain just to prove that 4 is bigger than 3. Weapon H projectile claws. Imagine if the Hulk and Wolverine had a baby and that baby could shoot its own fingers at people. That's basically Weapon H, who first appeared in Totally Awesome Hulk number 21. His real name is Clayton Cortez, and he was part of a gross experiment. Scientists mixed his DNA with the Hulk and Wolverine to make a giant gray monster. He has the huge muscles of the Hulk and the metal claws of Logan. But he has a special trick that Logan can't do. He can flex his arm muscles so hard that his metal claws shoot out like bullets. They fly through the air like high-speed missiles and can blow up tanks. It sounds like it would leave him without weapons, but his healing factor is too fast. He grows new bone claws instantly. Then tiny robots in his blood called nanites cover the new bone in metal. He can basically keep firing metal spikes like a machine gun. I'd argue it's one of the most destructive powers anyone has ever had. He's basically a one-man army that never runs out of ammo. Jimmy Hudson Jr.'s organic metal claws. Over in the Ultimate Universe, Logan had a secret son named Jimmy Hudson. He first showed up in the Ultimate X number 1. Jimmy didn't know who his dad was for a long time, but when his powers finally kicked in, he got the usual healing factor and bone claws, but he didn't have to go through a scary government experiment to get metal. Instead, his body has a second power. He can grow a shiny organic metal over his claws whenever he wants. It looks a lot like the skin of the X-Men named Colossus. This is way better than Logan's metal. It doesn't poison him and it doesn't make him super heavy. He can even cover his teeth in the metal if he wants to have a very shiny smile. If the metal breaks, he just grows more of it. It's a natural part of his body instead of something stuck there by doctors. He is much more flexible and can move around more easily. He basically has all the perks of being Wolverine without the constant heavy metal poisoning, which is a big win. Wagnerine's tail claw. In a future dark story called Sins of Sinister, a mad scientist made some really weird fusions. One of them was Wagnerine from the Nightcrawlers number 1. She's a mix of Nightcrawler and Wolverine. She has blue fur and can teleport, but she also has Logan's temper. The coolest part is her tail. Nightcrawler already had a strong tail for grabbing things, but the scientist added a retractable metal claw right at the tip of it. This means she can teleport behind someone and stab them with her tail while her hands are busy. It's the perfect weapon for a sneaky assassin. She can move in ways that normal people can't even imagine. She's like a blue ninja with a hidden blade in her back. It makes her way more dangerous than a regular Wolverine because you never know where the attack's coming from. She can bamf around the room and poke you from every direction at once. Honestly, she might be the only person who can literally stab you in the back while looking you in the eye. Wild Thing's psionic claws. Wolverine has a daughter in another timeline named Rena Logan, also known as Wild Thing. She first appeared in J2 number 5. Her mom is the ninja Elektra, so she's a very good fighter. Rena didn't get physical claws from her dad. Instead, she has a psychic power. She can make glowing pink claws out of brain energy. I think these claws are actually pretty cool because they don't cut your skin. Instead, they pass right through your body and attack your nerves. It feels like a massive electric shock to your brain. She can knock out a huge bad guy without even leaving a scratch on them. It's a much cleaner way to fight than her dad's messy style. She can also use them to break through metal shields, and since they are made of energy, she can make them appear whenever she wants. They look like neon lights on her hands. It's a perfect mix of her dad's weapons and a more magical style of fighting. It's a great way to win a fight without having to do any laundry afterward. Reign's magic claws. Logan apparently has children all over the place, including a daughter named Reign. She appeared in Marvel Comics Presents Volume 3, Number 7. Her mom was a French witch, so Reign is part mutant and part sorceress. She has a very dark job. She has to hunt down a scary demon called Truth. Her claws aren't metal or bone, they're made of dark blood magic. They look jagged and black, and they have spooky energy around them. These claws are specifically made to hurt demons that normal weapons can't touch. She can use them to banish monsters back to hell. They also act like a shield against evil fire. She's basically a goth version of Wolverine who fights ghosts. That's why her life is very spooky and filled with ancient magic. It shows that Logan's family tree is full of surprises. She doesn't just fight with her muscles, she uses the dark arts to win. In the end, she really takes the phrase inner demons to a very literal and pointy level. Jean Grey's psychic claws. During a huge event called Judgment Day, Jean Grey had to get creative. A giant space god called the Celestial was about to destroy the world. Jean is a super strong psychic, so she went inside the god's mind to fight it. She needed a way to do a lot of damage very fast. She thought about her long history with Logan and his fighting spirit. She used her mind powers to make giant pink claws that looked just like his. They were huge and glowing with psionic energy. She used these brain claws to tear apart the Celestial's thoughts. It wasn't actually Logan doing the fighting, but it was his style. Jean used his anger and his bravery as a weapon. It was kind of special for me because it showed how much she respects him as a warrior. Also, it was a very cool moment that combined two of the most famous X-Men into one attack. Even a space god couldn't handle the power of those psychic blades. It's the ultimate way of telling someone, I'm thinking about you, with a side of stabbing. General James Howlett's adamantene claws. In a different universe called Earth 12025, Logan is a fancy general and an explorer. He shows up in an astonishing X-Men number 44. This version of Logan is actually dating a Greek god Hercules, and because of that, he didn't get normal metal for his claws. He got something called adamantene, which is a golden metal used by the gods. It's the same stuff Hercules uses for his big mace. These claws glow with a beautiful golden light. They're just as strong as adamantium, but they have magic powers too. They can block psychic attacks and break magic spells. It makes General Howlett a very tough opponent for the wizards. On top of that, he looks much more royal and heroic than the regular Logan. He isn't a grumpy loner, he's a respected leader with divine weapons. The golden color makes them look way more expensive than the silver ones. It's like having the luxury version of Wolverine's powers. Diamond claws. What do you get when you mix Wolverine with the fancy Lady Emma Frost? You get a character named Diamond Patch from the Infinity Wars story. A character named Gamora used the Infinity Stones to squish the universe together. Logan and Emma became one person with a very weird set of powers. Emma Frost could turn her whole body into hard diamond. So when Diamond Patch pops their claws, they're made of organic, sparkling diamond. They are incredibly sharp and could cut through almost anything. Plus, having diamond skin means you're immune to mind control. It's a very flashy way to fight bad guys. The claws look like expensive jewelry, but they are still very deadly. It's probably the most beautiful version of Wolverine ever made. They have the toughness of a diamond and the grit of a brawler. It's a very strange mix of high class and low brow. It's all one of the only ways to look like a millionaire while you're busy shredding your enemies. Bat claws. Back in the 90s, Marvel and DC decided to mix their characters together for a special event. They created a guy named Dark Claw in the book Legends of the Dark Claw. He's a mix of Batman and Wolverine. His name is Logan Wayne, and he lives in New Gotham City. He has the money and the gadgets of Bruce Wayne, but the powers of Logan. His adamantium claws come out of his Batman-style gloves. He uses them to fight a villain named the Hyena, who's a mix of the Joker and Sabretooth. The claws are great for fighting, but he also uses them to climb up tall buildings. He's the ultimate superhero mashup. He's a master detective who can also heal from any wound. He has a sidekick named Sparrow, who's a mix of Robin and Jubilee. It's a very fun and over-the-top version of the character. He's basically the coolest hero in two different universes at the same time. He's the type of guy who could solve a crime and then literally shred the evidence afterward. Odin-blessed claws. What happens when you give a grumpy mutant the power of a literal Norse god? You get the amazing story from Fear Itself number 7. A scary god named the Serpent was attacking Earth with giant magic hammers. Even Captain America's shield got broken, which is a huge deal. That's why Iron Man went to a place called Svartalheim to talk to the space dwarves. He made a deal with Odin to get some special magic metal called Uru. This is the same stuff used to make Thor's hammer. They covered Logan's claws and his whole body in this divine metal. Then Odin himself gave it a special blessing. The claws started glowing with a bright golden light and shooting magic lightning. Logan basically became an Asgardian god for a day. He could cut through the armor of gods like it was made of paper. He was the heavy hitter that the heroes needed to win the war. The magic eventually went away, but for a moment, he was the most powerful version of himself. It's basically what happens when you max out your character in a role-playing game. It's nice to know that even a grumpy Canadian can get a thumbs up from the Allfather. Old Man Phoenix Claws. If you wait billions of years into the future, things get really cosmic and weird for our buddy Logan. This version showed up in Avengers Assemble Omega #1. The universe is basically ending and everyone is gone. Logan's still alive because he's just that stubborn. He becomes the new host of the Phoenix Force, which is a giant firebird from space. Instead of having metal claws, he can now make giant talons out of pure cosmic fire. These things are insane. He can use them to cut through the actual fabric of space and time. He can burn up gods and erase atoms just by thinking about it. He isn't just a guy who stabs things anymore. He's a cosmic judge who can decide if a planet lives or dies. The fire glows with a golden light that is hotter than a star. It's the ultimate version of his power because it has no limits. He uses them to fight a superpowered version of Doctor Doom. It's like the final boss version of Wolverine. It's good to know that even at the end of the world, Logan is still the grumpiest guy around. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.